Y'all ready? Great. Well, hello everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you for taking the time to come in today. I know that often being in a situation to be kind of in this.
You're gonna have to restart it. She laughs.
I'm just gonna keep going. I'll just cut that part.
Oh.
Ready? Okay. Hello everyone. Thank you so much for. I'm just gonna keep pushing through. It's gonna be fun. Thank you both for coming in today. I know that being in part of an intentional facilitated conversation like this can be awkward, frustrating. You all might not want to be here. And if you're feeling any of those things right now, if you're feeling like this is not a conversation that you're looking forward to, or if you are, just know that those emotions and things you're processing are welcome in this space. And I also want to thank you both for taking the time to meet with me beforehand to kind of explain both of your sides and your situation. Just to give you a little bit of an outline of how things are going to go during this conversation. So I'm going to be acting as a mediator. So I'm here to be unbiased to hopefully help facilitate a conversation between both of you, in which you both feel heard and you're able to come to some sort of consensus between the two of you. You will have the opportunity to kind of explain your side of kind of whatever's been going on, but know that this conversation is going to be more future oriented. So the hope and the goal is that we kind of can look towards the future and try to find some sort of compromise between the two of you. Something that I would ask from both of you is that you would focus on using I statements. So that an I statement helps to situate your experience within kind of your own framework. So rather than saying, you did this and I'm angry, you would say, I feel angry because you did this. Does that make sense? So you're kind of explaining how you're feeling first. Let's see, what else? Know that, yes, while I am being unbiased and I am going to help both of you have this conversation, it might feel kind of funky at times if I'm interjecting or trying to redirect the conversation. That might feel like I'm having some sort of bias, but I'm just trying to keep the conversation as level and as even between the two of you as I possibly can. There's not a right or a wrong situation or approach in this conversation. We're just going to try to talk things out. And things in this conversation will stay confidential, but if any kind of worrisome language or behavior is exhibited, that may have to be communicated to other folks. So just so you know that, try to keep this as confidential as possible, but if there is any language that or behavior that comes up that might seem like it could potentially be harmful in any way, that may have to be communicated to other folks outside of this conversation. Cool? Mm-hmm. Do you have any questions before we get started? Okay, cool. So how are we going to start the conversation? It's totally up to both of you who would like to go first, but initially, if each of you could kind of share to the best of your ability your perspective in its entirety, so kind of from beginning to end, what brought you here. One person will share, and I ask that while the person is sharing that they share their entire perspective without being interrupted, and then after that person shares, the other person will have the opportunity to share their full story, and then we'll kind of go into a back and forth conversation. Does that sound good? Mm-hmm. All right. Whoever would like to start.
Well, I didn't call this meeting, so...
You both. So do you want to start, Caleb?
Are we coming through now?
I was going to do it.
That was,
That's real.
I can't do that. I'm so sorry.
This is 3 minutes of my life I'll never get back.
Stick to science, Kaylin. Acting is not within your realm of things.
No, try again.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I'm not re-recording all of that beginning stuff. Don't worry, I'll cut all this shit out. Like Lama's breathing. Oh my gosh.
This happens sometimes.
You're not even in the frame, so it's fine.
Yep.
She's very emotional today. Okay. So the other weekend, I went to go stay at my boyfriend's house and I ended up coming back early. And When I got home that night, there was someone sleeping in my bed. And, you know, I think just, like, on top of all the other things I'm dealing with in regards to school, like, I have 18 credits and work and, like, starting a new relationship, like, I don't really have a ton of time to just, like, sit through and hash out these details. And I just, you know, I was really distraught when I found there was just this person in my bed one weekend, and I just wanted to go to sleep, and so then I had to leave again. And it just it's stressful in the midst of an already really stressful semester. And, you know, on top of that, like, we were really good friends in the dorms last year, and, you know, it's just kind of accumulating, I guess.
What is it that is accumulating?
I think just the stress, I guess. So not only, like, am I so busy, but it's also now there's this, like, really stressful home dynamic, and, I mean, I really can't get past that there's just someone sleeping in my bed. Like, I just see that as completely inappropriate.
So just so I'm hearing you correctly, sounds like stress is something that's pretty salient in your experience right now. Just to make sure I have some of the facts correct, you said that you have a lot of credits that you're taking right now. Part of your perspective is that there was someone that was sleeping in your bed, and that's something that's kind of potentially a concern of yours. Is there anything else that I'm missing? Anything else you want to make sure that is heard or said?
I think that covers most of it.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing. Yesenia?
Well, I don't know what the issue is about the whole friend in bed thing. Like, she wasn't going to be home, so I didn't think it was really that big of a deal, especially because, like, my friend was drunk, and so, like, I mean, I would take care of you if you were super drunk and needed somewhere to stay too, so I just didn't think the whole bed thing was any kind of, like, actual issue, and if it was, like, you definitely should have just told me instead of bringing us here.
In addition to kind of that piece that Kaylin expresses, or anything else that you would like to share from your perspective about the dynamic between the two of you, why you might be in this conversation?
Well, I think it's funny that we're having this conversation because, like, we don't even have it at home. You're never home. And that's why, like, I don't even bother texting her anymore. I'll just, like, leave notes because she'll eventually find them. So I don't really know what to do from here if she doesn't want to talk to me.
Okay. So I'm hearing again, from your perspective, just so I'm hearing this correctly, it sounds like, and I might be reading into things a little bit, but it sounds like you were thinking kind of from a perspective of a safety concern for your friend. Is that kind of what you were thinking? That kind of what factored into your decision making was that Kaylin was at home, and also kind of a piece of this whole puzzle for you is that Kaylin just hasn't been home as much as usual. Is that correct?
Yeah. We used to hang out all the time, and now she's just, like, gone.
Is there anything that, like, after hearing the other person's story, anything that either of you have questions about for the other person, anything else that you would like to share? This is a space where you both can have a back and forth dialogue if that's something that would be helpful for you.
I don't know. I just kind of wish you were home more.
I feel like, you know, I think I want to be home more too, and, like, I miss how our friendship was, you know, last year. I think after, like, I found that note, I felt like I didn't intentionally not pay the bill. Like, that wasn't something I did out of, like, any malicious intent. Like, I totally just forgot in the midst of everything that's going on. But I feel like I haven't been prioritizing our friendship, so that's something that's partially on me too. It's just, but I noticed the dynamic was kind of awkward, and I was like, oh, like, maybe, you know, she needs space, or it's just.
Well, the bill thing, like, I don't have the money to pay that bill ahead of time or even on my own. You know, and then, like, you weren't home, so I couldn't really talk to you about it, and then even when you are home, you're with your boyfriend, and so, like, I can't really bring something like that up to you. But, like, I just don't have the money to keep covering bills for the both of us.
Well, couldn't I, like, pay you in advance for, like, a month or two? Like.
Yeah, that would probably be better.
Because I can definitely do that right now. So I think that could be helpful. And
yeah, that would be helpful, because
I'm sorry I didn't pay the bill. I'm sorry I forgot.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing that potentially, and I appreciate the conversation that you both are having and the way that you're having this back and forth dialogue. What I'm hearing is that it sounds like a potential solution for at least one component of kind of what's been happening. Your roommate dynamic is potentially paying bills beforehand. Does that sound like something that would be a good solution for both of you, at least for that piece of
Yeah.
Yeah.
dynamic?
I don't want to like put you under any unnecessary stress.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Well, that's awesome that you both have been able to come to that conclusion, and it sounds like it's something that's a good fit. And if at any time, as we're kind of continuing through this conversation, if these solutions that you're coming to are things you want to revisit or adapt, we can gladly do that. I'm also hearing a few other things about some other issues or some other just kind of factors that seem to be important for both of you. I've heard things mentioned about, again, the friend that was sleeping in, was it in your bed or was it in Kaylin's bed? Hearing that, I heard a few things about communication, about how much time you intentionally spend within this space. Are those things that would be helpful to you to discuss? Is there one of those that's potentially more, I don't know, something you would like to discuss first?
Well, I don't really know what's wrong with the friend thing.
I think, I'm definitely okay with that kind of thing if I like have more of a warning. Like even if I was gone, like if you maybe had let me know, like I think those kind of circumstances are, I think it was more of the surprise of it too than like not the, like I don't want your friend to be unsafe or anything, but it was just like coming home, the surprise, and I think on top of like our house dynamic lately, it just sort of made it worse.
Okay. I can, I don't know, I guess tell you ahead of time or like ask you ahead of time. Yeah, sorry, I just definitely didn't think you were coming home, so I didn't think to ask.
It's something that, like, that's potentially a consistent theme of something that might be helpful is, it sounded like from the conversation that you both had that doing a little bit of proactive communication was helpful with the bill that had kind of been outstanding, potentially could be helpful here in the situation. Is that something that kind of having a little bit more of that proactive communication before something happens, does that sound like something that could be a potential solution? Because it sounds like that's the language that I'm hearing you both use, or you kind of come to those conclusions, at least in these two instances.
Yeah, I mean, I could try. It's not like I planned to have my friend in her bed. She just ended up being way more drunk than we thought, and I just kind of put her in there.
So how do you foresee, let's say this ideal, because I don't know that I've heard like specific language used in terms of what proactive communication is. So how do you both anticipate responding if there's a situation where maybe that, because it sounds like, with this person who came over, it was kind of you made the decision kind of in the moment, is what I'm hearing. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
So how do you both anticipate responding if the communication maybe can't be happening, days or even hours in advance? What would be helpful for both of you in those instances? On both accounts, with maybe the bill or with other people coming into your space?
I really don't know.
I don't know. I guess I could still just like let her know. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I could just let her know like when things happen or like what my thought process is behind it, so she's not like upset. Yeah, or just like I won't, bring friends over. It's
I'm curious, Yesenia, from your perspective, what your thought process was in bringing your friend in to stay in Kaylin's space, and Kaylin, what your thought process was in response to that situation. Does that make sense? Is that something you'd be comfortable sharing?
Yeah, I guess I didn't really have like a deep thought process about it. Like we were here and then I thought she was kind of fine, but then I realized like she wasn't fine and I don't have the money to put her in a taxi or an Uber to go home, so I just kind of assumed that Kaylin's bed was open, and if it's open, like why am I going to share my bed with her? So I just put her in like the open bed that we had in the house. Like that's just what my thought process was.
And how did you respond to that?
I think it was more of like I felt like it was sort of disrespectful just because it is like my space, and I was coming home and was not going to stay the night at my boyfriend's, so I was just more taken aback by like not only the lack of communication, but sort of